Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive paradigm shift that honestly sounds a bit like science fiction, but I promise you it's happening right now. We're talking about the era of physical intelligence. Imagine transitioning from AI that just lives in the cloud to systems that can actually feel, interpret, and react to the physical world in real time. It's wild, and it's completely rewriting the rules for hardware, edge computing, and robotics. We've got a lot of ground to cover today. We'll start with AI's next big leap. Define what physical intelligence actually is, look at how we power the intelligent edge, explore the revolution in modern robotics, and finally, break down the massive market opportunity. All right, part one. Let's talk about AI's next big leap and why everything is moving to the edge. So think about first-generation AI, stuff like ChatGPT. It's incredibly smart, right? But it relies entirely on text and digital logic. It's basically a brain in a jar, living exclusively inside some massive cloud server. Second-generation AI is all about escaping that jar. It's about moving out to edge computing, tapping into real-world sensing, and building systems that actually have to operate within the bounds of physical laws, things like gravity, friction, and spatial awareness. Up until now, the AI living in these massive data centers has totally changed the world. But here's the catch. It is completely disconnected from our physical environment. It literally has no idea if it's hot or cold outside, or if a machine part right next to it is vibrating and about to snap. It only knows the abstract data we feed it. Moving right along to part two. Let's clearly define what we mean by physical intelligence. So what exactly is it? Well, physical intelligence is basically the fusion of sensing, reasoning, and actuation, combined with domain expertise, to create systems that live within the context of physical laws. To break that down a bit, it allows machines to go way beyond just crunching abstract numbers. Sensing means they can actually see and feel what's around them. Reasoning means they process that incoming data instantly. And actuation, that means they take a physical action based on what they've learned. They aren't just thinking anymore, they're doing. And there are companies out there like Analog Devices, or ADI for short, that are architecting the structural foundation for this entire era. They're bridging the digital and physical worlds by, quite literally, coaxing electrons from nature. They capture real-time changes in temperature, vibration, or motion, and then they transform all of that into computable intelligence that a machine can actually understand and act on. Okay, part three. Let's look at what it takes to power what we call the intelligent edge. The thing is, you can't always send data all the way back to a cloud server to make a decision. It just takes way too long. You need the intelligence right there at the edge of the network, right where the action is actually happening. Operating at this intelligent edge involves 5 foundational building blocks: sense, measure, interpret, connect, and power. You can think of these as the eyes, ears, and reflexes of these new AI systems. First, the machine senses a physical change. Then it measures its exact properties, interprets what that means using local AI, connects that insight back to the broader system, and finally efficiently powers the necessary physical response. But let me tell you, operating out at the edge, where the data actually originates, demands entirely new AI architectures. You are definitely not in a nice, temperature-controlled server room with unlimited power anymore. You've got strict constraints. You have to minimize latency, because, well, a robot can't wait 2 seconds for a cloud connection before deciding to hit the brakes. You also have massive power efficiency constraints, since a lot of these devices run on batteries. And then there are bandwidth limitations. You can't just send every raw 4K video frame back to a central server. You've got to process that data locally, right there on the device itself. Now, when you actually solve those constraints, you get something incredible: the digitized factory floor. By driving robust sensing and tightly coupled control intelligence directly into edge devices, we unlock real-time insights that are absolute game changers. Get this: unplanned equipment downtime currently accounts for almost 24% of total manufacturing costs. That is a massive chunk of change. But with physical intelligence, a machine can sense its own vibration changes and actually predict a motor failure before it ever happens, effectively eliminating that downtime and saving companies millions. Moving to part 4. Let's see how this is revolutionizing modern robotics and helping machines adapt to reality. We're starting to move away from those traditional, highly precise robotic arms that require super rigid, pre-programmed environments. Instead, we're stepping into the era of autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs for short. These are machines capable of navigating chaotic city streets or dynamic, busy warehouse floors simply because they possess physical intelligence. They can actually adapt to completely uncontrolled environments. So you might be wondering, how exactly do they do it? Well, these autonomous robots can move safely without needing physical guides, tracks, or lines painted on the floor because they're packed with some seriously advanced tech. They use 3D time-of-flight vision, which essentially bounces light off objects to measure distance and map out its surroundings in real time. They also use precision MEMS sensors. Think of those like microscopic inner ears that give the robot perfect balance and orientation. When you combine all of that with machine learning, they can instantly interpret that sensory data to navigate around unexpected obstacles, like, say, a human unexpectedly walking right into their path. And that ability to react to us safely brings us to a really massive number, 34%. See, robots no longer need to be locked away behind safety cages like wild animals. They can work safely right alongside us. Because of this, collaborative robots, often called cobots, are expected to jump from just 3% of total robot sales to a massive 34% by the year 2025. That is a staggering adoption rate, and it's driven purely by the fact that AI can finally sense and react to the physical world. Finally, part 5. Let's look at the market opportunity and the financial implications of all this. This massive technological innovation ties directly into economic value. The shift toward physical intelligence translates into sustained, long-term revenue growth for the companies actually building the hardware. Think about it. As robots get smarter, they need way more sensors, processors, and power management chips. In the financial world, they call this increasing the content per device, which basically just means companies like ADI are selling more of their technology into every single machine that gets built. And the market is already reacting aggressively to this massive demand for AI and edge computing. ADI's share price momentum has picked up sharply over the last year, boasting a staggering one-year return of over 90%. Investors are clearly starting to wake up and digest the financial implications of this huge shift from digital software to physical hardware. However, we have to weigh the risks here. Right now, the prevailing hype around the robotics boom suggests ADI might be undervalued, with a fair value narrative pointing to about $451. Conversely, if you look at strict financial models, the ones that focus purely on actual future cash flows rather than all the hype, they warn of a much lower valuation, closer to $183. This massive gap exists because, while the robotics narrative is incredibly strong, those strict cash flow models factor in the intense R&D spending and fierce industry competition required to stay on top, and that kind of spending could eventually squeeze profit margins. We've seen today how physical intelligence is completely transforming edge computing. It's untethering AI from the cloud and allowing robotics to safely walk alongside us on factory floors and city streets. But honestly, the true potential of giving AI the ability to see, touch, and react is only just beginning. So as AI continues to learn how to truly feel the physical world, what industry will it disrupt next? That's the million-dollar question. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on the intelligent edge.